China's domestic situation is changing rapidly. What we have seen since the trade tensions started with the rest of the world, that China's vision has sped up. The reaction is for China and for Beijing to double down on what it's doing. And what has happened over time is that Beijing has, in recent years, had a lot of issues, a lot of introspection, and has decided it should change its economic model, its development model. And we tend to talk about trapeze economics. It had an old development model which has worked very well. We know what has happened since WTO accession, but the party now understands that in order for it to continue to develop and to prosper, it has to change that model. It has to change that model because China has become a high-income country. So it can't produce cheap goods in the way that it used to do, and it has got headwinds from producing too many goods from the rest of the world. But in terms of how to deal with involution, there's two main things that have been happening recently. And a big one is that they have brought out a price law. So they are saying that this is how prices need to be set. It's a type of competition policy. So they understand competition policy. One of the issues that has pushed this involution is regional competition. It's allowed them to it's helped them bring down prices. And so it's been really good policy, but it's at the stage now where, again, this policy has to change. And what we're seeing is a lot of talk about how to develop the national market. So they want, the terminology from Beijing is a unified national market. So that with a unified national market, they're not competing against each other. And another issue that is very important in the economic problems that China is facing at the moment is its over-reliance on foreign demand. They're trying to develop domestic consumption and to move up the value chain domestically and internationally. But this is the cause of the tension internationally at the moment with many countries. And it's well understood. China does produce a great deal of emissions, but bear in mind that by 2030, it will account for 45% of global manufacturing production. So it has a big burden to bear. So what we see the decarbonisation plans coming out of Beijing is that the government will take a much more active role. So not only is it creating the policy environment and the financing, it has to take a much bigger role because the market can't absorb the cost. And this is just very difficult in the rest of the world. So indeed, China is a very big purchaser of commodities. It's a very big country, it's got a very big agricultural demand, it's got a big demand for critical minerals that it's going to need in the energy transition. Politics aside, China has probably had the most vision in terms of climate change and in terms of the energy transition. And because it hasn't had an adversarial, business has confidence in what the longer term plan is. Also, one of the big differences is China has seen the energy transition as a business opportunity, Whereas in market economies, where government feels that it has to be taken up by the market, and for the countries in the global south, this is more difficult because your institutions are not as strong. How will you engage with China? And this is particularly in the mining area in Peru is very important, that you understand what your strategy is. Well, I would just like to thank the Universidad del Pacífico for inviting me and giving me this wonderful opportunity to get to know your community and to understand a little bit more about Peru's studying of its relations with China and also China's impact in the global South and South America.